The Chat Lounge.
Chat Lounge.
Chat Lounge.
The Chat Lounge unpacks views and opinions on hot issues in a more casual way.
As China shifts to a greener development mold, how may a multinational company adapt to the ever-changing market? As healthy living rises on China's agenda, what new business opportunities are taking shape? Hello and welcome to the Chat Lounge. I'm Tian. In this special edition, we talk to two senior executives and check out how they are aligning their companies with China's greener and healthier future for better business prospects. First, let's meet Frank Hammes, Global CEO of IQAir, the Swiss multinational known for its cutting-edge air purification and monitoring technology. Welcome to the show, Frank.
Thanks for having me.
China's air quality has improved significantly, as we all know. But does that suggest a shrinking market or reduced growth potential for IQAir's air purifiers in this country?
Actually, the opposite is true. We see the pattern around the world when countries make great progress in air quality. Actually, it goes in line with their increased health awareness. And with more health awareness comes more demand for even cleaner air.
Right.
China has more than halved its air pollution, right, over the last 15 years. But we see that people are now concentrating on what is happening indoors. And we also have an aging population. We have people who are very concerned about giving the best air quality to their children. So we actually see the demand is going up.
Good to know. And you've observed China's environmental journey for years, I believe. How would you describe the transformation from pollution control to today's focus on green and high-quality development then?
Yeah, my first time in China was in 2007. And indeed, coming off the plane, right, the air quality was a big issue. And we can see that the Chinese government made a tremendous journey now, right, especially since 2013. We have more monitoring stations here in China than in many places around the world.
Right.
And we can see that the combination of addressing public issues and at the same time benefiting economically, right, by addressing these issues is a success recipe here in China.
To IQAir's current footprint in China, we understand IQAir entered this market more than a decade ago and is now recognized for its air purification products and especially data monitoring platforms. So how would you describe IQAir's current footprint in this market, be it in terms of market presence or local partnerships and user communities?
Yeah, we have one of our biggest presences globally here in China. We have 5 offices, and we can see that China's a big country. So we need to really adapt to the local concerns, right, even in different cities. And
So which 5 cities?
we're currently in Beijing, Shanghai, we are in Shenzhen. I forget all the other 2 cities, but
Basically,
yes.
which used to have this air pollution problems.
Absolutely. But
Right.
I must say, today I think China is beyond just reacting, right, to air pollution. I think people are becoming much more proactive. And when you think about your health, what you're breathing today will make a difference maybe in 20 years or 30 years from now.
Right.
So I think it's human nature to think about the now, but we can see that people becoming much more focused on the future.
And let's turn to this IQAir's business adaptation and innovation here in this market. China is now drafting its new 5-year plan. I believe you've heard of it a little bit, emphasizing sustainability, innovation, and well-being. So there's also a growing focus on developing new quality, productive forces, which is an innovation-driven green and digital transformation. So do you see it more as an opportunity or a challenge for IQAir?
I think it's all opportunity, right? I think the only challenge is that we obviously are competing in one of the most competitive countries in the world.
Right.
The Chinese consumers has many choices, many good local companies. So for us to come in, we need to do something special for the Chinese consumer. And I think this is always where, when you come from Europe, you have to learn, you have to adapt. But one of the Chinese consumer loves our digital app, right? Because we provide air quality information, not just for China, but for the rest of the world. So globalization, right, is something that I think still that we can bring a global perspective to China and allow Chinese consumers not only to be knowledgeable of what's happening here, but also in the rest of the world.
You just said you need to do something special for Chinese customers here. Can you tell us a little bit about that? What special aspects?
Something special. This year, we're doing something very special in terms of technology. So we have one of the most powerful and quietest air purification products in the world, but we're now combining it with style because we're here in Shanghai, right? In Shanghai, people like style. They like to look good. They like their homes to look good. So combining technology with style is one of those things that I think Chinese consumers are looking for. And this year, we're introducing very special product for that at the show. And we combined Chinese heritage. And we're inspired by that because we have such a big Chinese team. And they said, let's bring something from China to this European approach to the technology. And so we actually concentrated on a technique that's over 600 years old and that here in China had its heyday in the Ming and the Qing dynasty.
Right.
And we basically, it's called a cloisonné technology.
Right.
And we have artisans from China actually executing that and making this a product where every single unit is a unique piece that people can enjoy in their home like a museum.
The Chat Lounge. The Chat Lounge unpacks views and opinions on hot issues in a more casual way.
Your company recently expanded into solutions for senior care facilities and medical institutions in China. So can you tell us more about these collaborations?
Yeah, I think we're all concerned about our parents. My father's 85 years old, and we want our parents to age in health and in dignity, and air pollution is such an important part. Just a few weeks ago, research came out that Alzheimer's has a significant factor. Air pollution has that. And for us to get healthy and to live a long and fulfilled life really needs good air quality. So we have our specialists actually working with senior centers to see how can we improve air quality for the elderly there? How can we do this in healthcare facilities? Because it's one of the easiest things to do to actually get old, right? Making healthy eating decisions, exercising every day, that's something that actually needs a lot of individual attention, but having good air quality in our public facilities is quite easy to achieve.
So is Alzheimer's disease a big problem in Switzerland, your home country?
It is because, I mean, I will, any country that's aging, right, will at some point have much more dementia related disease. And what people don't realize is that air pollution entering our lungs is entering every cell in our body, including our brain. And we now can see that Alzheimer rates can be up to 25% higher when there are higher pollution levels.
I can see why your products, like you said, market share is actually increasing in this country because China is an aging society right now. So how does that factor shape IQAir's China strategy in these years?
Yeah, I think we are actually seeing that our customers many times are not maybe even the elderly people, but it's their son and their daughters, right? They have understood, they come from a new generation that's maybe understands that we are ourselves shaping our future much more than maybe the previous generation understood. We have smoking down, right? We have exercise up. We have people living healthy lives, and they want to give that to their parents. And so I think we can see we have a lot of customers. I myself am able to see the air quality in my father's home right now, right? IoT technology allows us to take care of people in new ways that we didn't know before.
That's marvelous. Well, like we mentioned, IQAir is also known for its air visual platform, which is an air quality monitoring platform, right? It provides open air quality information to millions of users worldwide. So how important is China as a data source and as a technological partner in IQAir's global network then?
Yeah. No, we're very grateful for China to be able to make such a big contribution in monitoring air quality. Here in China, we have over 5,000 monitoring stations, right? That governments from a local level up to the central level are putting up in cities all over the country. So we have more data than in many other places around the world. And I think this is inspiring people because all of this network, right, was established over 15 years, right? Relatively short period of time when there was very little monitoring beforehand. And we can see now that many other countries are facing similar challenges. We're looking to Africa as a continent, and we're looking to South America, where the air quality monitoring networks are not so dense. So I think we can learn that in a short time, you can make a lot of progress when you put out this data for everyone to see.
But how representative is China to it? It's a developing country. It's not like Switzerland or Germany. It's developed. How representative is it?
Well, I think, first of all, it's an inspiration because even as a developing country,
Right.
the development is faster than
Right.
anywhere else that we are able to see right at the moment. So I think it's able to see that if you can embrace the challenges that you have environmentally and make them an opportunity, actually, there will be benefit in terms of health, in terms of sustainability, but also in people's comfort and well-being.
All right. China's accelerating its digital transformation and smart city development. So how does IQAir collaborate with local governments, like you mentioned, in a lot of cities, environmental authorities, and Chinese tech companies on smart air quality or climate monitoring progress? So how challenging is it to enter and compete in this field?
Yeah. I think we're all in this together. So when we're looking at competition, one thing I learned from China, visiting many of suppliers and other businesses, there's more a collaboration than a competition. There's more of a market companionship where we're building actually this awareness together because one company alone cannot do it. So we need to work with everybody else. But I have to say, we're not doing enough. And maybe this is one of the challenges for a European company, right, in China. We have to build these relationships. I was able to meet the vice mayor of Shanghai and exchange some information. It starts like that. And I think it's events like this that are facilitating our opportunity to get to know more people and have more collaboration.
And then what's your plan in Shanghai then?
I think right now we see that innovation is big. We see that sustainability is coming. Our goal right now is to bring the sustainability and make consumers more aware that the products that they buy have a direct implication in terms of the health of our planet.
Is it like difficult to do it?
And I think it's just a little delayed, right? I think here, obviously, people are still worrying more about what they can afford, right? But I think it's coming. We're seeing the consumers, and I would say maybe China will be where we see Europe in terms of making real purchasing decisions every day and actually being willing to pay more money for something that is better for the environment. I think I see this in the next 5 years coming for sure. Many intangible results in terms of understanding the market better. Our team is working a lot, but we've also had collaboration started here, right? And the challenges at the moment are certainly to see that we're now reaching out more. I think we now get noticed more.
This is Doing Business in China. Up next, check out the biggest challenge IQAir has met operating in the country. Stay with us.
The best military commander is not he who fights 100 battles and wins every one of them. The best military strategy does not lead to the desiccation of the enemy's capital city. Decoding the Art of War will help you understand why there's no art in war and how Sun Tzu stayed undefeatable using the science of war, with fun stories and insightful breakdown of famous battles. Find Decoding the Art of War wherever you listen.
Welcome back. We're talking to Frank Hammes, Global CEO of the Swiss air purification and monitoring tech firm IQAir.
Can you tell us a little bit about your partnership with maybe your other Chinese companies or local governments or authorities?
Yeah. We're exploring actually opening up a regional headquarters here in Shanghai. So we're having conversations at the moment on that because we're expanding in Southeast Asia. And the talent that you're seeing here is amazing. We have a big team in Beijing, also on the data side, and we're collaborating with universities to bring us their young and most talented people to help us explore the world's data. So the data economy in China is very healthy. And we have a lot of people who'd like to come and join in that because today's young people, they don't only want to make a good salary and have a good future for their family, they're also looking for purpose. And I think when you're doing something that's good for the environment and that's good for people, it's something that young people can identify with.
Do you find your Chinese customers like more demanding maybe or less demanding than their European or American, counterparts?
I think they're very demanding, yes, because obviously they're spending their hard-earned money on something,
Right.
and maybe less tolerant of faults. So our team is very aware here, though, that we have to be very quick to respond to anything that we need to improve, and we always love to hear from customers because they're drivers and they make us better.
Okay, and let's talk a little bit about your Chinese competitors here. China's air purifier market is becoming increasingly competitive with domestic players such as Xiaomi, Haier, and Blue Air all active. So, how challenging is it for IQAir in this crowded landscape?
Mm. I think the market is, in certain respects, is now becoming clearer. We've had more brands. I think we still see a consolidation, although the market is growing. The brands are not growing anymore because I think many brands are doing very similar things. So for us to stand out, I think we have to bring true innovation. Here in China, there's often a lot of incremental improvement. In Europe, we try to sometimes think completely new about a existing problem. And this is what we did with what we're introducing here at the CIE. Our research needs to be deep, and we are actually collaborating in research also here in China more. We're looking out for universities to bring us the young people and exchange us to understand buildings better, because we need to we're integrating in buildings with our technology, and Chinese buildings are moving very, very quickly. And I think we have an opportunity to even help build healthier buildings overall.
Collaboration with universities here in Shanghai or other places?
Other places, but it's typically right now maybe on an exchange basis where they give us people who come maybe for summer internship
Right.
to learn a little bit more about what we're doing, and then maybe afterwards choose a career with IQAir.
Well, I'm feeling that Beijing is losing IQAir because it's moving like everything here, regional headquarters or.
No, no, no. So you see, for China, Beijing is a very good headquarters. But maybe when you're looking outward, I think Shanghai has a lot of people to offer who actually are looking outward, who have been visiting many other places. We have people speaking great English here, right? And coming with good education. So I think China has much to offer, and for us to different emphasis in different big cities could be a success formula.
Okay. Then what would you say has been IQAir's biggest challenge operating here in this market so far, be it policy or perception or practical business terms?
And I think the biggest challenge here is how quick things are moving. We in Europe are moving much slower. Obviously, when you're moving fast, mistakes are being made, but those mistakes can quickly be corrected, right? And so I tell my people when I come back to Europe, we need to move faster. We need to be aware that not everything can be perfect from the beginning, but when we move fast, we learn fast. And I think our challenge right now is to see that we're adapting to this pace. Things are, at this moment in time, looking very positive for us in China. 2 years ago, right, everybody was a little bit scared about what's coming next. I think we now can see the confidence is here, and we love being here.
Mm. And let's zoom out a little bit. China's new 5-year plan is expected to deepen international scientific cooperation and encourage more foreign participation in green tech innovation. So, what kind of collaboration framework would you say could help global companies like IQAir contribute more effectively to China's sustainability goals?
Um, I think that China obviously has a supply chain that's very deep in many areas, battery technology, solar technology. I think these are all areas that we can benefit from. Ultimately, every country needs to concentrate on what is its key area where it can contribute. And I think for us here in China, the next few years will allow us to have better conversations and say, we're integrating something that we have maybe a Chinese supplier that's very good at that. And we're combining that with what other suppliers from around the world can be good at to bring the best possible result at a very competitive price to our consumers.
Then, how attractive do you think China remains for foreign investors, given stimulus and incentives seem to have moderated compared with 10 or 20 years ago?
Well, recently we've seen that the Chinese government has done quite a lot, right? There's been a lot of incentives for households to upgrade to more energy efficient appliances. So we see these stimuli are good, and they're open to us as to all other Chinese companies. So we're benefiting from those. I think generally speaking, China, as we can see here, is open for business, but you need to come here prepared. And if you come here, you need to compete with the best.
So maybe now is the best time for companies like IQAir to enter this market.
Yes, and to deepen our ties. I think ultimately right now we understand that we're here to stay. We have established Chinese market players. We've established international colleagues here, and we together will build a market where consumers can benefit.
Do you see any aspects that needs to be further improved, be it policies or anything like that?
I think so. I mean, ultimately, the challenge is right now, look at air quality, right? China has made great improvements, and still we're not achieving yet the World Health Organization recommendations, whether it's in China, by the way, or any big city in Europe or North America. I think we need to make sure that we let people understand that they have to make their own actions to be healthy, because our economies are relying on it, right? We have aging populations. We want these aging populations to be healthy. We want our children to be the smartest they can be. And I tell people both of those are much easier with clean air. And you will feel that you can have a competitive benefit when you have a healthy population.
Are you saying like education work or anything else you would suggest if it's a specific policy, IQAir would require the government or authorities to introduce?
I think it's basically just visibility, right? Allowing this, and we are doing educational work around the world in schools, for example. I think our schools need to be places that have very clean air for our children, because they're really very vulnerable, right? Many young people have asthma. They're missing school. They're missing out on an education. So I think maybe policies for good air quality in schools would be one step forward. And I think continuous monitoring and awareness campaigns can help for this industry, because air is not something that people notice very easily, right? Now the air quality is so good. You don't know, is it a good day or a bad day? With our app, we're making a difference here. But then people need to take their own action.
You're saying awareness promotion.
Yes, absolutely.
And air pollution is a global challenge. What lessons has IQAir learned here in China can be, applied or shared with other developing countries?
Yeah, I think the one thing is that as we're finding out more about how damaging air pollution is to our health, the standards will become tougher, right? United States a few years ago raised the air quality standards. I think China will probably at some point soon raise their air quality standards, because we're learning that even small amounts of air pollution are very harmful to us than we thought previously. So actually toughening the standards will help us. And so it's a moving goal, right? We're improving, but we're also realizing more needs to be done.
But if the standards are too high, I'm afraid other developing countries, maybe they cannot reach or at this phase.
Right. So it's always a political decision in a way. This is why there are so many air quality indexes around the world. But I think China is showing us that the improvements can be made. And ultimately, we're all the same people around the world. So what's harming us in one country is also harming us in another one. Obviously, the economic balancing between what the economy can stand in terms of transformation to what we want to see in public health, that needs to be balanced country by country.
Well said. And as China moves toward its carbon peaking and carbon neutrality goals, what would be IQAir's suggestion to help the country reach its goals more effectively?
Just pull everyone with you. I think ultimately, you see, I tell people when I go to very polluted countries, I tell them we're all causing air pollution. We all want to drive cars. We all want to live in a home that's warm. And when politics are realizing that we need to pull the entire population along, right? Because any changes that become more sustainable will cost some more money, right? Because we've basically taken the shortcut in the past in what we're doing to the environment and what we're doing to our air quality. So for us to be able to now make sure that everybody understands a little sacrifice is necessary from everyone to improve the situation, I think is what smart governments are doing.
And how would you evaluate China's, when it comes to balancing short-term benefits and long-term vision? Are we doing good enough, or there's any aspect that can be further improved?
I think China's stability obviously provides a big advantage in terms of long-term thinking, right? Sometimes I think in Europe or in North America, we can see that the short-term politics maybe are not a direct path to advancement in the long term. So I think here China has an advantage, but I think many of the political forces around the world are now realizing that we cannot negotiate when it's about sustainability. We have to lean toward electrification. We have to lean toward green energy sources altogether if we want to make this a successful economy and a healthy economy for everyone.
All right. And last but not least, seems quite a bit obvious question, but beyond being a huge market, why do business in China? What gives you confidence about IQAir's continued growth in this market?
It's the quick increase in consciousness here in China. I think that's one of them. Consumers are now understanding that they have achieved the basic requirements. Now it's about quality of life for their children, for their parents. At the same time, we're also here because we got to learn from the best, right? We have more companies in this field than anywhere else in the world. We'd love to learn, we'd love to contribute. And so many reasons to be in China.
All right. Thank you very much, Frank.
You're welcome.
That was IQAir Global CEO Frank Hammes. In the second half, we'll meet Roger Chen, the Managing Director China of CLP Holdings, one of the oldest and largest power companies in the Asia-Pacific region. Don't go away.
Online, on air, and on your phone. Take today wherever you go and stay ahead of what's changing our world. From politics and the economy to business and technology, Today covers regional and international issues that affect China and the world. Keep up to date with Today.
Welcome back. We continue our special edition of Chat Lounge, looking at how a multinational company may adapt to the ever-changing Chinese market. Now we talk to Roger Chen, the Managing Director, China, CLP Holdings.
So Roger, welcome to the show.
Thanks for inviting me.
Let's start with some history. What was the company's vision when CLP first entered China's mainland in 1979, and how has it changed or evolved ever since then?
As you said that, CLP was established in Hong Kong in 1901. So next year will be 125th years of anniversary for CLP. And back in late 1970s, CLP witnessed some of the starting of the opening up of the door of the mainland at that time. And at that time, we also saw a big shortage of power in Guangdong, where Hong Kong had, relatively speaking, abundant energy. So we start our investment in China's power sector back in 1979 by investing in a power transmission system from Hong Kong to Guangdong to help Guangdong deal with the power shortage. And starting from there, we were embarking on a almost 46 years of journey of investing in China. And one of the things I want to highlight here is in mid-1980s, CLP and China General Nuclear Power Company, or we call CGN right now, jointly developed a nuclear power station in Daya Bay. That was one of the largest and most successful and most productive joint venture companies in China's history since its opening up. So Daya Bay Nuclear Power Station has been supplying Hong Kong with reliable and low carbon energy since then. So in fact, this year, 2025, we are celebrating the 40th anniversary of the establishment of the joint venture of the Daya Bay Nuclear Power Station. And after that, CLP has been investing in a lot of different fields, including coal. Right now, we are focusing on the renewable energy.
Right.
So the vision of CLP over the past 46 years of investment in China has been evolving, as you rightly point out. We start from a opportunity that, we see the massive demand of electricity. And over the past 20 years, we see the transition of the energy sector and the power sector in particular from a coal-dominated or fossil fuel-dominated industry to right now a renewable and a low-carbon dominated industry. So again, with this kind of shifting, CLP is right now very committed to continue to investing in China, but focusing on the renewable energy and the low-carbon technologies.
Yeah, China used to be in a situation of a power shortage, but now everything has changed.
Yeah.
And we converted or shifted, transformed from fossil fuel-based energy model to a renewable energy model.
Yeah.
So during this process, how has your perspective on the mainland's business environment, especially in clean energy, or evolved over the years? Any unexpected shifts or insights?
I think, to me, the past 40 or 50 years, in particular in the energy and the power sector reform, provide a few very interesting insights or things that I can share with you. It can be summarized in a few points. First of all, to start, I think the first point is really from policy continuity and clarity to market maturity. And as you can see, for every new industry or every new sector that has been developing in China, no matter it's a renewable energy or is an EV, government provides a lot of policy support to those industries. And when the technology is maturing, when the market is maturing, the industry can develop by itself. So we see it in the renewable energy. It used to be very expensive. Right now, it's very reasonable. So we can develop what we call grid parity project. The second thing is really, we call it technology leapfrogging, meaning that with all these efforts, China has developed or has achieved breakthrough in a lot of technology, which enable it to develop those new energy in a much lower cost and more efficient way. The third thing is really talk about the strategic practicality, because China always look at things in the big picture. And as long as it sets direction, it will move along with direction, but with some strategic, fine tune. For example, I remember a couple of years back, there is a power shortage because of China closed too many coal-fired power stations. So in order to achieve a balance of, the power system, the government has been very pragmatic in terms of maintaining certain base load of coal, while at the same time keep pushing the development of the renewables. So these are the things that I think over the past 45 years of experience in China, we've seen a very interesting development in these areas.
You didn't expect that this country can, move so fast into renewable energy direction.
We actually didn't expect that, but in reality, China has always surprised, everyone.
Indeed.
Doing business in China, straight from those who have done it.
So over the past 40 plus years, what would you highlight as the major milestones in CLP's mainland journey then?
Again, as I said earlier, I think obviously 1979, was a very start of CLP's investment in China. And followed by 1985, we signed the joint venture with CGN on jointly developing the nuclear power station in Daya Bay. And since then, in 1997, we invested in Shandong province, the coal-fired power station, and also the first ever hydropower station in Guangdong. And after that, for example, in 2010, we started our first wholly owned renewable energy in Jilin province. But that's a subsidized project. And in 2021, we commissioned the first ever grid parity project, which meaning that without any subsidy. So look at these milestones. I think CLP is growing our portfolio together with the growth of China's renewable energy sector.
And personally speaking, which one or which milestone would you say is the most exciting one?
Oh, definitely 1985, when we signed a joint venture agreement with CGN to jointly develop nuclear power station in Daya Bay. Because right now, of all the electricity consumed in Hong Kong, 25% of the electricity is coming from the 2 units in Daya Bay, which provides Hong Kong not only with zero carbon electricity of nuclear, but also affordable and reliable supply for over 30 years.
That's very exciting and very important for the development, especially in that now Greater Bay Area.
Yes.
And has CLP adapted any specific technologies or models for the mainland market? To a lot of people, the mainland market is a little bit different, right? Especially from other markets like Indian markets or
Southeast Asia.
Asia.
Yeah, I think, again, in China, CLP has been adapting ourselves to not only the policies or the regulatory environment, but also the technologies or business models. For example, right now we are developing some solar farm projects in Jiangsu province, and we take advantage of the local environment. For example, there are lots of fish ponds, there are lots of agriculture lands, and we use this what we call agrovoltaic or aquavoltaic type of solar farm development model to develop the solar farm at the same time to preserve the land below the solar panels to grow, for example, the agriculture products, or to continue the fishing for local villages. So with that, we can achieve the benefits of not only the zero carbon electricity, but also some economic benefits for the local villagers.
Right.
So this is just one example. Another example is in the Shandong province. For example, we are commissioning the largest centralized control system of CLP China in Jinan in the next couple of months. Once it is commissioned, we can use that to control all the projects in Shandong once they are in operation. So this will significantly increase the operational efficiency of our renewable projects, and at the same time can help us to cut cost.
I didn't expect that a power company can extend its business into agriculture and being such a supporter to environmentally friendly agriculture.
Yeah, it is quite common right now, but back in
right.
Then it was to us quite innovative.
This is Doing Business in China. Find out how the Hong Kong company has navigated challenges on the mainland market when we return.
I cannot marry you while your mother regards me.
Step into the world of timeless elegance with Mrs. Spring Fragrance, a captivating audiobook by Edith Eaton,
Grieves
read
not,
by Man Ling.
because the green leaf still clings to the bough.
Experience the lively yet complex lives in Chinese American communities at the turn of the 20th century as Edith Eaton's delicate prose weaves together themes of tradition, change, love, and identity.
Forget all that belongs to the joy of life.
Follow the journey of Mrs. Spring Fragrance and witness the struggles and fights of those living on a rapidly changing exotic land while holding on to their cultural traditions, or more importantly, to their
He
identities.
could hardly believe that his daughter was seriously opposed to becoming the wife of such a good-looking, prosperous young merchant as Wang Ling.
Join Books and Beyond for Mrs. Spring Fragrance. Let the stories come to life in your imagination. Subscribe to Books and Beyond for free on your favorite podcast platforms, or log on to radio.cgtn.com for more.
Welcome back. We're talking to Roger Chen, Managing Director of CLP Holdings China. CLP Holdings is one of the oldest and largest power companies in the Asia-Pacific region.
Let's delve into the challenges.
Yeah.
Operating in any large market means there definitely will be a lot of challenges going forward. So what have been some of CLP's most difficult experience in the mainland, and how did the company navigate those situations then?
To me, probably one of the most significant challenges that we faced was during the COVID period.
All right.
Because as a Hong Kong company, because of all the restrictions of traveling during that 3+ years, it's quite difficult for us to manage our assets, which spreads out over 15 provinces, autonomous regions, and municipalities from headquarters in Hong Kong. But here, I would really like to thank the local government support to help our assets in various regions to continue to run and to operate in a very efficient way during that period of difficulty. So this is obviously a very challenging time. So overall, I think CLP has been quite fortunate in China to obtain a lot of supports from the local governments as well as from the central and the provincial governments. And with that, we can overcome a lot of challenges we have been facing.
Like what? Can you give us a small, a specific example then?
For example, one of the things that we are facing is, in particular, when we develop some wind farm in a very hilly type of terrain. And if you want to, build a very, large wind farm in those places, the support from the local governments, local villages are very critical. I still remember, one of our projects in Yunnan province, for us to transport all these big wind turbines and also blades, which could be longer than 100 meters, through those mountainous road to the site. It requires a lot of local government and villages support. And so I think this is obviously a very challenging thing.
You can get such kind of support in other areas or other countries?
You can still get support, but I think, it might not be that coordinated. And also, it might not be that cost effective.
Fair enough. And as a long-term investor in mainland's power sector, how are you adapting your strategy, especially when it comes to emissions trading, grid parity, or renewable subsidies?
Yeah, I think these are the questions that, to me is very interesting. Let's take a, grid subsidy or, renewable subsidy, as a first thing to deal with. And in fact, this is also something that, I want to advocate through certain channels because, although CLP has been very committed to, support China's 2030 carbon peak and the 2060 carbon neutrality targets, but we do see the delay of the payment in subsidy creates some burden to the financials of companies. So I think this is the areas that absolutely, we want to see some
Improvement.
good progress, in solving that kind of thing. But back to your question as to how CLP has been adapting to, the various trends in China over the past 40 plus years. And again, we start our journey in nuclear. And later on, we invest in a lot of coal-fired power stations because at that time, China was short of electricity, short of power. So we invest a lot. But when we see a very clear policy trend or very clear commitment from the central government to gradually phase out those fossil fuel development, we also adapt ourselves to switching from investment in that area to the renewables. And I can share with you the first few projects in the renewable sector in China at the middle of 2000s. The cost is way too expensive. But we still invested because we saw the good prospect of such investment in China and also the long-term trend. And later on, when the price of wind turbines, price of solar panels went down significantly, we see the benefits and opportunities in investing in the grid parity type of projects. So step by step, we are following the footstep of China's overall economic development and the policy and the regulatory development to adjust and adapt our investment in China.
Can you give us a rough idea how much or the spending? You said it's in the beginning, it's quite expensive.
Yeah.
And how much have the costs been reduced ever since?
I don't know about other companies. Speaking from CLP's own experience, at around like 2000, early 2010s, if you developed one solar farm, the cost per watt is over 10 RMB. And right now, the cost per watt is probably, 1 to 2.
Right.
It's almost like 10 to 20% of the cost,
That's really...
back in the early 2010s. It was quite significant, 80% reduction. And the good thing is, it still continues to decrease.
Oh, right.
But I'm sure that the pace of or the magnitude of such cost reduction will not be as high as back in 2000 or 2010s.
Right. Then to the question, if you had to describe CLP's China journey in just 3 words, that's a little bit difficult. What would they be and why?
To me, if you ask me 3 words, I can probably think about commitment and partnership as well as transformation. Commitment is quite obvious because CLP is a company that has already existed for over 124 years, and obviously will continue to grow by taking a long-term view. So the commitment, not only is the commitment of the government of China in terms of decarbonization, in terms of clean energy, but also the commitment of CLP as a company in the renewable sectors and in the zero carbon sector in China. The second thing is really talk about a partnership. Because if you look at those very successful transactions or very successful investment, they all require good partnership, being your business partner, being the local government, being your equipment supplier, being your EPC contractor, for example. Let's take the nuclear investment in Daya Bay as an example. CGN, which is one of the major nuclear players in China, has been developing this long-term partnership with CLP for so many years. So I think this is a very typical example of a good partnership. The third thing is the transformation, because CLP has always trying to adapt ourselves to the ever-changing environment. So I guess, we also have to transform ourselves to make sure that, we are following the overall external environment.
Indeed, without a long-term commitment and a good partnership, nothing can be achieved.
Yeah, all very difficult to achieve.
The Chat Lounge. The Chat Lounge unpacks views and opinions on hot issues in a more casual way.
And what advice would you give to other energy companies intending to enter this market, especially in China's low-carbon sector?
To me, I think, obviously, first thing I would give our peers is that China is big enough. So China, is a big market with 1.4 billion people. The demand is there. There's a lot of opportunities here in China. So go for it. I think that's the first thing. The second thing is really about the patience. Don't try to make some quick money out of this market. Be patient. Like what CLP has been doing, we've been investing in China for over 45 years. It will continue to, many decades, to come. So I think these two things, maybe is something that I can give to our peers.
That's a little bit general.
Yeah.
Can you give us some, like recipe of CLP's own or?
So to me, I think some of the advantage that, we have in China developing renewable energy as an example, we feel that, we are competitive in certain areas.
Right.
For example, we are having very good relationship with the local governments. That takes time to build, right? So I think that gets back to my earlier advice of being patient, because building relationship with all levels of government really takes time. The second thing is, leveraging your foreign investor status. For example, Hong Kong is positioned itself as a super connector and a super value adder between mainland and the rest of the world. By sort of leveraging Hong Kong's overall positioning, CLP is also committed to be a super connector and a super value adder in energy sector, in power sector. And, one thing that we are seeing certain advantage of CLP over all competitors in, China is our reputation with international investors, with international customers, and with those customers that is very committed to ESG. So we help them to, decarbonize by, structuring some, a long-term contract for green energy certificate or green power. So when we growing our business, we also help customers to growing their business as well.
Or maybe go directly to CLP and, set up some joint venture with you or directly invest in CLP.
Yeah, that could be another thing, but it's probably beyond my expectation on that.
Understood. Right. Where do you see the most promising growth opportunities in the next decade? Offshore wind or distributed solar or perhaps digital energy solutions?
To me, I can see a few trends. One is obviously in the renewable sector itself. And we see quite mature developments or massive development in onshore wind and onshore solar. But we also see a very good start or, a good trend of developing offshore wind. So I think on the renewable, sectors, obviously there are still a lot of opportunities, to grow in this area. The second part is really, about the nuclear and also those emerging low or zero carbon technologies. And to me, because CLP right now has two nuclear assets, all in Guangdong, and we see a lot of benefits of this particular energy. And we also see China is particularly strong in the nuclear development because of our robust supply chain because of our very good track record in developing nuclear power stations under the budget and on schedule. So this is something other countries have not yet to achieve. So I think going forward, nuclear will definitely be a very key pillar of the whole energy mix in China if we want to gradually phase out fossil fuels. The third thing is really, we call it the smart grid and also some related technology. Because at the end of the day, you build massive renewables, you build a lot of nuclear power stations, but how you transmit those power and energy to end users, in particular during currently the AI era, right? And also don't forget the renewable energy is notorious for its intermittency. So again, build a very robust and resilient transmission system will help the whole world to decarbonize and to be able to achieve a sustainable development. China is certainly leading in all these three areas. And so that's why I think investing in China and with these three areas in mind is something that CLP is very excited about.
You highlighted nuclear energy, but in some countries like Japan or even in Britain, there are incidents featuring nuclear leakage, which makes a lot of people very concerned about the nuclear safety, right, of such a power plant. What makes you so confident that nuclear power is the next thing or the future of power generation then?
And to me, right now, nuclear technology has already evolved into a called third generation nuclear reactor technology. It's much safer and much more efficient than the older nuclear reactor technologies. And in particular for China, we have taken the nuclear safety very seriously. So we have excellent track record in nuclear safety in China. And also, if you look at China's regulatory body in nuclear, they make it very clear that there should be absolute safety for nuclear development.
Fair enough. And lastly, looking forward, what's CLP's long-term vision for China's mainland in the context of clean energy and sustainable growth?
To me, again, I think the sheer market size of China provides a lot of opportunities. When you look at a market, you have to definitely look at the potential of that market by judging the size, because China is big enough. And, we are not targeting a very big share of market in China. But even with a small share of market in China, it's already big enough for companies like CLP. So I think the market is very, very big. The second thing is really the policy support and also the policy continuity, because we see a very strong commitment and also very clear direction of the governments of China to develop renewable energy, to develop low carbon or zero carbon environment and in economy in China. So we definitely see a lot of opportunities by leveraging that policy support and also policy continuity.
Right. Roger Chen, Managing Director, CLP Holdings China. Thanks for sharing with our audience.
Thanks again for inviting me.
With that, we come to the end of this special edition of the Chat Lounge. Tune in for more stories of multinationals operating in China next week. Until then, take care.
He can't live without the Yellow River in his eyes.
The Yellow River is so noble and elegant.
Both my grandpa and dad made a living from the river.
Would you like to move away from the Yellow River?
I don't think I will. I love it so much.
The Yellow River, the second longest river in China, is regarded as a shaping force in the history, economy and culture of northern China. Today, about 100 million people live within its water basin, making up nearly 9% of the country's population. How is climate change felt at its headwaters, and what are the locals doing to cope with it? What are the descendants of the boatmen doing? What has kept some people from leaving their home village by the river, and what has drawn others back? Could the fading fishing community revive in the time of digital transformation? From 2021 to 2024, Our reporters visited the upper, middle, and lower reaches of the Yellow River, talked to the herders, farmers, boatmen, fishermen, and eco-activists who share a close bond with the river, and present their stories in pictures, podcasts, and videos, all in our 12-part series, The Yellow River Mosaic, available only on CGTN Radio